What is up, everyone? I want to welcome you back to the channel. My name is Nathan Andre, and I like to discuss ways to invest in yourself or self-investing opportunities. And I wanted to talk about a way that I've been investing into myself as of late, and that is for the past few months, I've been attending a coding boot camp to learn how to code and eventually become a software engineer. So I wanted to give you guys some insight on what my experience has been like thus far, why I decided to actually join a coding boot camp, and what are some things to consider if you're thinking about investing your time and your money into one of these programs yourself. So let me start by providing some background on myself and how my interest in pursuing a career in tech began. So I received my undergraduate degree from Temple University here in my hometown of Philadelphia. I majored in finance, and since graduating a few years back, I worked in various capacities at a few different asset and investment management firms. Now I'm a few years into my career at this point, and while I love everything that a career in finance offers, I've been feeling the need to add some skill sets that will allow me to pursue and attract better opportunities. Now technology is obviously everywhere around us at this point, and unless you're someone who lives completely off of the grid, most of our everyday lives revolve around tech in some way. Whether you're keeping up with your friends and family on social media, or you're paying a bill through a mobile app, or even seeing your doctor by way of using a virtual appointment app off of your phone, all of these things uses technology. So my interest in learning how to code started around 2017. Back then I signed up for a free online course called freecodecamp.org. Now just a quick side note, if you're thinking about a career in tech or learning how to code, I would highly recommend you sign up for a free educational resource online. There are many of them out there, and before you go forking out thousands of dollars on a boot camp, I would say check one out to be certain that this is really what you want to do. I'll post a link to freecodecamp.org in the description below. Now this course gave some basic understanding in HTML, CSS, and some Java. It was a good way to get started and to get my feet wet and some basic understanding of programming theory and concepts. Now at this time I was starting a new position at a financial firm, and I hadn't yet fully committed to the idea of pursuing a new career in technology. Now fast forward a few years later to 2020, when most of the world was either forced to work from home or to just have a lot of downtime because of the virus. I, like many, also had a lot of downtime and thought that this would probably be the perfect opportunity to stop and pivot my career into something that I've always wanted to do. I knew of and was very familiar with coding boot camps, but I didn't know exactly which one to go to. So I did my research and I ended up applying to a few. My decision came down to a program that was offered by Ivy League University and a more traditional boot camp called the Flatiron School. I think the biggest difference for me was that all of the people that I came in contact with and all of my touch points at the Flatiron School was super helpful and friendly. Really, upon my initial contact, I had the sense and feel that I would probably end up being most successful there. So I enrolled, and currently I'm a self-paced software engineering student at the Flatiron School. Initially, I started off as a full-time student at Flatiron, which costs about $15,000. Now boot camps can range anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000, depending on the program, if you're a full-time or part-time student, and also some other deciding factors. And since I've started, I decided to transfer out of the full-time program into the self-paced program. In the self-paced program, they give you about 15 months to complete the curriculum. You don't have the community aspect of the cohort that's provided in the full-time program, and you also don't have access to a cohort instructor or a cohort lead as you would in a full-time program. But still, there are educational coaches to help you with problems and various programming concepts and theories if you get stuck along the way. Now, one of the biggest dilemmas that a person can face when deciding whether or not to go to a coding boot camp is the cost. And yes, as I stated earlier, they can get pretty expensive. They range from about $5,000 to $30,000. And the average person doesn't have that kind of money just to fork out. I was one of those average people that didn't have that kind of money just to fork out. Now the good thing is that they do have multiple financing options to help you out in terms of the cost. At the Flatiron School, as well as other boot camps, you can finance the entire program by taking out a loan, or you can also go with another option called an ISA, or income shared agreement, whereas though you pay nothing upfront, and the school just takes part of your income for the first 2 years after you graduate and find full-time work. So if you don't have all of the funds up front, don't let that hinder you, because there are ways and there are options available to you. Now for those that say I want to learn how to code in a way that's costless, yes, I would definitely say that this is possible also. There are a ton of free or very inexpensive resources online. Freecodecamp.org that I mentioned earlier is definitely one of them. You can also look at free courses on LinkedIn Learn, Udemy, and countless others. However, I do believe that one needs to fully know themselves if they're going to take this approach. What I mean by that is, for me personally, I need a lot of structure in the situation when I'm learning something new. I also like being able to ask a ton of questions to ensure that I have a concept down correctly. In addition to this, I also know that I can get quickly discouraged when something isn't clicking right away. And having a support system that the bootcamp offers is greatly appreciated for me personally when this happens. So are there free or inexpensive options? Yes. But it really all depends on what works best for the person. Now, another thing that these boot camps offer that I alluded to earlier is the community aspect. When you start off in a full-time program, you're in a cohort with about 15 to 20 others, and you're able to reach out to one another, collaborate, help each other with problems by way of Slack and email. You're able to have peer reviews and really rely on one another for help. This is one of my favorite aspects of the program. They always preach about how once you get into the real world and working at a real technology company, how collaboration is always a big part. You'll always be working on teams and relying on each other for support, help, and to find out answers to crazy problems. So the fact that they prepare you for that early on is definitely beneficial. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that coding boot camps are very intense, hence the word boot camp. The learning curve is different for every individual person, as some has taken coding classes in high school and college, and some people come in as complete newbies, having never coded or written a single line of code in their life. Now, some also come in as full-blown computer science majors, and obviously for those individuals, the work comes a little bit easier. If you're coming in as a complete beginner, having never written a line of code, having no idea what a variable is, what an array is, being clueless as to what object-oriented program or any other computer science theories, I would say that you definitely have your work cut out for you, but it is definitely possible. The work definitely comes at you fast, but at the Flatiron School, they prepare you for the times when you're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and even feeling like you want to quit. It's key to remember that while you are experiencing these feelings and emotions, that everyone there is really in your corner and everyone really wants to see you succeed. And it's really during those times that having a community aspect of your peers and your educational coaches around really comes into play. I would say that if you come in with the mind frame of already knowing that this is going to be one of the most challenging things that you've ever experienced from a learning perspective, but knowing that it's 100% feasible for you to learn the material if you put in a proper amount of work and time, then you'll end up being completely fine. Now, at the end of every section of the program, you'll be tasked with using the skills of a particular language that you learned to build out a project or an application. Now, this is something that's very useful because not only does it put your skills and your knowledge to the test, but it also allows you the opportunity to build out a portfolio. And that'd be very vital when it comes time for you to apply for full-time work. Now, if you don't have a traditional computer science background, hiring managers is going to want to see proof and evidence that you know what you're doing. Now, obviously, this will also be seen through the coding interview and the questions that they ask, but built-out applications will also be important. Another cool thing is that when you present your project, you'll be asked questions as if it were an actual coding interview. So this really helps to prepare you for when that time actually comes. As a whole, my experience in a coding bootcamp, particularly in the Flatiron School, has been a great one thus far. Yes, it is tough, but I do feel like I'm learning a ton of new concepts in regards to programming. I'm excited to share with you guys my experience as I progress through the program and also some of the cool projects that I'll be working on. I also plan to let you guys in on my job searching process once that actually begins. If you guys have any questions at all about coding or coding boot camps, make sure you drop them below in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. Also, feel free to follow me over on Instagram where you can send me a question as well. I hope this video was helpful and informative. If it was, please do me a big favor, like and subscribe to this channel to see more ways on how to invest in yourself. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and until next time. You're recording a video. Shut up. They know themselves if they're yeah, I get tongue-tied like crazy, man. I cannot talk. You talk like this, like you kind of just open up your mouth a little bit and you really just want to get tongue. All right, here we go. Right back at it.